Welcome to episode 24 of Post Hunt Clarity. And this is going to be a good one because Ben Resnick and I found our first ever podcast guest. Ben, I'll let you introduce Cole.
So we are excited to have on the pod tonight Cole O'Brien. Cole, what is your Instagram handle? I get it wrong every single time.
So it's SW_Ohio_whitetails. So Southwest Ohio whitetails.
Gotcha.
So I'm guessing you're from the Ohio area then.
Specifically Southwestern Ohio, yeah.
Okay. So I've talked a lot on the pod about like being from Wisconsin, growing up hunting there, moving down to Kentucky, but basically Ohio. And so Cole lives about 45 minutes from me now. He's one of the first guys I met when I moved down here. He's really the only guy I've met that hunts, and he kills some freaking giants. So we are excited to have him on the pod tonight and want to say thanks for taking some time out of your day to do this with us. So should be a good episode for everybody. We've never had a guest before, so Gabe and I are kind of winging it here, but hopefully this goes well. So
this episode sponsored by Up Zero Sugar Shirley Temple.
And by Bubbler that my girlfriend bought at Menards.
And I know you guys are from Wisconsin, but
yep,
Ohio,
and
that's okay.
Cole's got
we don't
Ohio
have
State.
a college football team, so you're good. We have a pro team.
Right. All right. Well, not to put you on the spot, Cole, but I guess we'll kind of get into it. What? Obviously, you're from Southwest Ohio. What is kind of your background in hunting, I guess, or really just in life? Give us a little bit about yourself. What's kind of your 2-minute elevator pitch about yourself?
Well, I guess I'll start with the basics. So, I was born and raised just east of Cincinnati. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Kings Island, the amusement park.
Yep,
down here in Mason. You are. Well, I'm about 15 minutes north of there.
Gabe, just for a little context, it's like the whole town is like a valley fair. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. I think Ellie talks about it, and I was like, nah, you don't know it. Anyways, okay, I understand. Yep.
So anyway, but yeah, so I've been here my entire life. I'm married, been married for 5 years, got 2 boys. Eli just turned 4 yesterday, and Clay turned 2 back in August. So
I missed how old you said you were.
The kids are 4 and 2, 2 and 4. Oh, I haven't even said how old I am yet.
Okay, I was gonna say, I was like, hold up.
No, I'll turn 27 next month. So yeah, I'm too young to have a 4-year-old.
That's fair, but
no, I started hunting in 2011 in East Central Ohio. My grandparents have a farm up there. My dad, he took me up there for youth gun season, and I saw a lot of deer. Didn't shoot anything. Got yelled at a couple times for not paying attention, sleeping. So that's what really started it. But I picked up bow hunting in 2014 when I got my first vertical bow, and gosh, I don't think I'd even shot it at a single dare.
That's normally how it goes when you start, yeah.
I didn't know what I was doing.
So getting into it, was your family pretty big into hunting too, or did you just kind of develop, like somebody took you and you just developed a passion for it from there?
So my dad and his brothers, they hunted a little bit, but where they're from, I mean, there's just deer everywhere. So it's just one of those things, you just go out and hunt for fun. Like no bow hunting, like deer drives, that's kind of what they grew up on. So that's what, my earliest memories are doing deer drives with my dad and my grandpa. So it wasn't as hardcore as what I am now, but it at least introduced me to deer hunting, and I'm so grateful that he did that because I love it.
Well, and that's where it's like the most fun too, is when you're young and you're not like that. So you just do it because you love it. Now it's like it feels like work half the time. It starts to feel like, So
yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well,
thanks for northern Wisconsin.
Thanks for joining us tonight on Post Hunt Clarity, and just kidding. No. Yeah. So, what did you say, Gabe?
No, I said he'd blend right in northern Wisconsin.
Right.
He grew up on deer drives.
Oh my gosh, we should have you up for a drive.
Did all the old guys have Busch Light in their pockets while they were deer hunting too?
No, they didn't. But
well, that's good. At least your woods is safe.
Where we hunted, their farm was surrounded by public on 3 sides, and it's an Amish country, so it was nothing to see a van of 20 of them.
Yeah,
They
just
hop out.
mowing down deer. Yeah, that's funny. So now, how did it go from kind of like you having this passion of what you did with your dad and your grandpa to like, because now you're like, there's guys that hunt, and then there's guys like us three that like hunt. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
live for. Like, how did it kind of come to that next stage of hunting for you?
Well, I guess it really started. I don't know. So I have three brothers, but we all hunted. But I think I'm the one who takes it the most seriously.
I forget that
I don't know.
you have a third brother or a second brother. I guess it'd be to you, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah.
is he older or younger?
So I have a twin brother. He's a minute
Yeah.
older than I am, and then I have an older brother who's 4 years older, and I also have two step siblings. So
Right.
it gets pretty crazy pretty quickly. But my earliest memories, I remember getting my first trail camera. It was a horrible Wild Game Innovations camera, but I
Hey,
loved going out there and checking pictures and seeing what was on it. And
Gabe
I
just
had my
pulled down a wild game camera on Saturday when he took me out to his lease.
it's right here.
yeah.
These things, to be completely honest, I probably had 8 of these in my life. Some have gotten stolen, and I think I've left some. They're like $30 a camera, and dude, these
Yeah.
things kick ass. These things work really,
Oh yeah.
really well.
I
Not that I'm a
I'd be lying
GSM
if I
fan at all, but I'll
I I
admit that they're good cams.
I'd be lying if I said I don't have 5 of them.
Yeah. Well, they're cheap. Cameras are
You
expensive.
got
Yeah.
ones that send them to your cell phone now, right? Or are you still using the old traditional? You got to go check them.
I use Tacticam for all my cell cameras.
Sure, but
But
you
I
still
mean, like
still run regular.
yeah. So the place actually where we'll get into this later, where I shot my buck this year, it's right behind where I work. So it's nothing just to drive back there, pop the cards out, put new ones in, and
Sure,
you
where
know
it's
do that.
convenient.
Yeah. So all my tougher to get to spots and other farms that I have that are a little further away, those were all cell cams.
Yeah.
So back to your backstory of hunting, just out of my curiosity, were you always a big buck hunter, or were you more of like a meat hunter, or just like, hey, I just want to kind of kill whatever I think's a good buck, or kind of what's your story with that?
So actually, I started off. Well, I wouldn't say I was always a big buck hunter. My first ever deer was a doe. I remember it clearly. It was youth gun weekend, and I shot her at 7:30 in the morning, and I got yelled at because my dad had to come and clean her out, and he was
Sure.
mad. He was mad because it was a doe. But I was 12. I didn't care. I was just excited. But as I think I've gotten older, I've killed smaller bucks. I've killed some does. Like now, it's not to the point where I'm trying to chase bigger deer, but like I would say my number one thing is always targeting mature deer versus big deer. So, and obviously, bigger antlers come with that. So I would say that's kind of where I started, where I'm at is just, I'm after a certain age class versus like a certain size.
Yeah. Well, and Gabe and I talk about that a lot of like, you've seen where I hunt, Cole. Like, I just don't have the caliber of deer you have an hour north of me. And like, Gabe's kind of in the same, he's building some really good properties, but Northwest Wisconsin, I mean, if it's brown, it's down up there. So we talk a lot of the time, like, who cares what it scores? Like, just kill the most mature deer you can. And like, the genetics are going to be what the genetics are. But like, a mature deer is something to be proud of, regardless of what it scores. That being said,
Yeah.
you've shot some pretty crazy scoring deer, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So back to, I guess we didn't really get to how you got pretty serious about it. So how did that kind of start to manifest?
So I think I was probably in high school, and so unfortunately, like I said, where I grew up hunting family farm, it's 2.5 hours away, so it's hard to get up there, during the school year and actually hunt. And with football and stuff, it was just tough. So I really started to hunt public land, which, looking back now, was a horrible idea. There's a pumpkin patch out there. But it was, I mean, it just, as long as I was in the woods somewhere, like I was happy. So like I just kept building on that. And then when I started dating my wife now, I asked for permission to hunt there, 250 acres, and it was a very seldom yes, but I got it. And ever since I got permission on that property, there's always a good buck out there. So I'm like always out there just checking cameras. So like I would say that's, finding a place to hunt and it being like consistent with decent deer. I would say that's what, got me into being a more serious hunter, because it's more fun when you actually, have something to go after.
Yeah, once you start having deer around, it gets pretty addicting.
So did you marry her because she came with land? Just curious, because I'm like Ben and I don't think are on that fortunate side, but I was always curious if somebody would just do it.
I would say no, I didn't, but it's a perk. So
It's a perk. Yep. Attaboy.
Yeah, Gabe. We didn't. We don't have that luxury with
It's
our
it's
ladies.
crazy, right? Like, I love my wife; she's the girl for me forever. But growing up, if you'd have asked me what I was looking for, I'm looking for a girl that's got a daddy with 400 acres, and I married a beautiful girl that has a dad with about 0.2 acres in downtown Lexington, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah. Way it goes.
that's right.
So this whole having a guest on is interesting. It's hard to know what to ask and where to go next, huh?
Well, all I can hear is your chair going back and forth. It's the loudest thing. Yeah,
Really?
it's
Hopefully
bad.
we can cut that out of the audio. Normally, like
So-
when I'm on Teams calls and stuff for work, like it cuts that out, but I guess not. So I'll try and hold more still, I guess.
What brand of bow, Cole, do you shoot?
I guess I have the wrong hat on. I shoot a Hoyt.
He shoots one that kills deer. He's not a Matthews guy, like
No,
other
I was
people
just
on
asked
this podcast.
if he was sold. I'm not set on Matthews.
No,
They
I
just
know.
give me
No,
a good
I've-
discount. So
I've had 3 different. So I started with a diamond. Was my
Yep,
first
same.
bow.
razor
Horrible.
edge. Yep.
Wouldn't shoot straight. It was awful. So then I graduated to a PSE, just like a basic stinger. Great bow. I was a horrible hunter. I missed 2 different bucks with that thing.
Yeah.
And then I finally saved enough money and got a big boy bow. I got a Hoyt, and I've killed 3 bucks with it, and I've had the bow for 4 years. So we'll just sum it up to it's the bow.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. That's
So-
curious what people use.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I guess getting into now, I only know you in your more recent years, Cole. I didn't meet you till last year, but that's kind of when you started killing some really big deer, isn't it? Like last year was kind of where you kind of took that next step to like some really high caliber deer. So tell us that story. I'll preface with you killed what? It was just over 160.
It was
Yeah. Okay. So, what was that story? I mean, was it a deer you had on camera for quite a while? Just something random that showed up? What was kind of the background of your season? When did you kill it? Just kind of the whole rundown.
Yeah. So that one, well, I mean, that season in general was a roller coaster. But that buck, hang on a second. I'll tilt my screen. He's actually behind me here on the wall.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So-
Yeah, like that's good deer.
Thank you. And I'll send you some more pictures later. But so yeah, that season actually it started in 2022. I had just shot my first buck with a bow. He was a really wide 6-pointer that went a whopping 97 inches.
It's not bad for a 6-pointer.
No, but so it was one of those things. I didn't have a lot on camera, and he walked in front of me chasing the doe, and I was like, well, I'm not letting this opportunity pass. So I shot him, and get the first one under your belt. It's
absolutely
fine. I was so excited. I was like, I just shot a deer with a bow. This is the greatest feeling I think I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
So then, probably a couple days after that, I mean, that was November 19th is when I shot that buck. So not even a week later, I get pictures of this really nice 10-pointer with a sticker on his Jeep. And, he looks to be 3 or 4 years old. And I was like, that's a nice deer. Now, I hunt with my brother-in-law, so I'm sending him the pictures. So I'm like, hey, come down here and hunt this deer. But, he never comes down. The deer hangs around until 1st of December and disappears. And that's that. 23 rolls around. Cameras are dry. I got yearlings, probably 6 yearlings and, just spikes. And it's just a bunch of young deer. And I'm like, so I started going around door knocking. Got two different places to hunt. So I focused most of my time over there. But, 2023 season came and went. My second child was born in August. So, September, October, November I wasn't in the woods that much.
Yeah.
And then
Rightfully so.
I started getting pictures of a really clean 10-point with, 12-inch G2s and 13-inch G3s. And he's just a huge deer. And I'm like, I got to get after this deer. So I was able to hunt him a little bit. He daylighted a few times. I was in the wrong tree stand. We all know how that goes.
Yeah.
and then he's around for a month. I'd say middle of October, middle of November, and he's gone. Don't think anything of it. I'm just, well, maybe he'll come back. So then the 2024 season rolls around. Same boat. Nothing here. The home farm, as I call it, it's where my in-laws live. And there's nothing on camera. There's one, I think he's 3, maybe 4. It's Ben. It's the deer I killed this year. I named him JJ.
Yeah. Okay.
So he was around last year.
My next question was going to be, are you a name your deer type of guy?
Kind of.
Yeah.
I think about it long and hard, and then I'm just like, he's the big 9 or whatever.
Yeah. It's always, the big 8, or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyways, back to your story.
So he's on camera all summer long, and I'm like, man, that'd be a really good deer for next year, but what am I going to do for this year?
Yeah.
And I went out and I got one more permission piece, maybe a mile away. But the guy, who owns the land, he's a super nice guy. He's one of the local farmers, but he was letting me bow hunt early season because he has friends who hunt during the rut. I'm like, fine, I don't care. Hunting's hunting.
Yep.
And I put a camera out there, and 2 days later, I got this stud. I mean, he wasn't like the biggest antler. He'd probably go 150, 160, but just a huge body. I mean, it looked like a small cow running through the woods. So I'm like, I'm going to go hunt this deer. And on my second sit, I shot him at 25 yards. He was quartered away a little bit, put it right behind his shoulder, wasn't a clean pass through, and the blood was very minimal. So I tracked him for, I think it was just over a mile across 3 different properties, and I lost blood. So I was a little salty about that.
So sidebar, not to cut you off, Cole, but this is when like you and I started like kind of talking through social media. I remember you shot that deer and you put it on your story, and we'd been messaging a little bit, and I messaged you and I was like, hey, like I didn't know how much you had looked or whatever, but I'm like, do you want me to come help? Like, do you want just like a second opinion or, help tracking or whatever? And you're like, no, like we've exhausted
because Ben's effort for tracking.
What?
Not saying you're bad at it. You're just like,
I think he's saying you're bad at it.
Yeah, I think he is too.
It's just, yeah.
Well, okay.
I just thought it was funny. Ben's like, yeah, I'll come help.
Yeah, I don't know. In my head, I'm like, I gotta meet this guy. Like, I gotta, he's the first and only guy I've met that hunts around here. Like, he's close to me. So, yeah. But no, I just genuinely wanted to meet you. But anyways, back to your story. But yeah, I just thought that was
you're fine
to throw in.
Yeah,
and I'm not bad at tracking deer. The last one we tracked was in frickin' prairie grass with no blood.
I know that's like
blood if we would have
maybe
gone slow.
Different story for a different podcast.
That's right. Sorry, I gotta readjust here. So never found that deer, and talking to the landowner who owned the land where I shot the deer, he's like, don't beat yourself up about it. It happens to everybody. Get back out there. I'm like, all right, fine. Well, I didn't hunt his property anymore, so I went back to the home farm, and I had a cell camera out there, but like I said, with it being easy access, it's mostly SD cameras. I can just drive back there and swap out cards. So I pull a card, and sure enough, I have one card that's like keeps telling me error, and it won't load. And I'm like, all right, I guess I don't really need to look at it. And I finally got it to work, and thank goodness I did, because I got a video of that buck. He showed back up, and now he had basically the same big, mainframe 10-pointer, but now he's got a little drop. Makes like a 90 out of the back of his antler. And I was like, holy cow, I need to go hunt this deer. And I think I made 3 sits for him with nothing. I wasn't even sure if he was around or not, but I don't want to say I vaguely remember. I remember vividly he was November 1st, cold front had come through, and I talked to my boss, who's my father-in-law. I said, hey, can I get off, 2 hours early to hunt? He goes, yeah, okay, that's fine. I don't care. And so I had a spot, picked out overlooking this scrape that, usually anything coming or going to the woods will hit this scrape, on their way. So I'm like, well, I'll just set up. I have a perfect tree for a climber. And I decided, I was like, well, let's just get in there. Didn't see a single deer until about 6:45, I saw a couple small bucks chasing a doe out in the field. And the way I'm set up, everything to my left is just like sun. Like I can't see the sun setting. So I'm like, when that sun goes down, I'm going to look to my left and see what's over there. And no sooner than the sun got behind the trees, I looked to my left and he's standing there at 30 yards. And I'm in my climber, and I should say it's not mine, it's my brother-in-law's, but there's no bow hanger in the tree. So it's just like my bow's just sitting across my lap in this climber. And I go to pick it up, and my sidebar dings the tree stand. And the deer, he just looks up at me. And I'm still sitting down, like I can't stand up. And he goes about his business. So I'm sitting down facing the field, and he's off to my left. So I'm like this, and I 30 yards smoked him. Didn't even get a chance to stand up. Dude, it was a perfect shot. And I watched him run out into the field, and then he disappeared. So finally I'm like trying to, find him. And I see White Belly laying down in the field, and I went nuts. I started screaming. I called my wife and told her, and she goes, "Nuh-uh." I was like, "Uh-huh."
That's sweet.
So, and then so that's how that came to be. But yeah, he ended up going 160 and 2/8 as a 6-year-old.
Well, he's that old of a deer, huh?
Yeah, because like I said, my pictures date back to 2022. And funny, after I shot the deer and posted it, I started getting messages from a guy who farms up the road about 1.75 miles, almost 2 miles away. And he goes, I got that deer on camera the last 3 years. And so he's sending me, he's got all the velvet pictures. And he's like, yeah. So he's like, I used to watch that deer through my spotting scope. He's like, I'd watch it walk out of our woods, cross the road, walk into your woods. He's like, I think I watched him do that on, what did he say, October 31st or November 1st. And I was like, well, that's when I shot him. So, but I had gone back to pulled my card out of my camera, like I said, SD camera. And sure enough, I had a video of him coming back into the woods that morning at 4:30 in the morning. I shot him just over 12 hours later.
Jeez, that's crazy. I'm looking at your Instagram now, though, and I think that 6-pointer you killed might be your most impressive deer. That thing's a freaking giant. Gabe, I just sent it to you on Instagram. It's like a mega 6-pointer.
Yeah, he's very, very wide. Very wide.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a super impressive 6-pointer. Wow.
Yeah.
It's kind of like my big 7.
Kinda, yeah.
Saw this year. That buck was back on trail camera last week too. So
really,
over in the orchard plot, yeah, I put the picture of him.
Gabe passed a big 7 opening day in full velvet. Still, it's a 3.5-year-old. I mean, it was probably
that's all they are up here. I don't think there's a 4.5-year-old on the property.
Yeah,
that's what I hate about this area. You get all these 3.5-year-olds, and you're like, okay, next year we're gonna have a bunch of 4.5-year-olds,
and then somehow
next year it's just all 3.5-year-olds again.
Yeah.
They just don't make it. They disappear. They don't make it.
Well, and in a lot of areas in Northwest Wisconsin, there's 1 or 2 3.5-year-olds. I mean, it's a 3.5-year-old where we're from is like a 5.5-year-old in Ohio. Like it's just it's kind of the mature deer in the area in Northwest Wisconsin, at least.
Where you're at in Ohio, do all of your neighbors hunt?
Most of my neighbors have more than one hunter, I should say. I mean, even the woods that I hunt, so the rule, air quotes on rule, is family only. But there's still, myself, my wife's cousin, my brother-in-law, my father-in-law, he hunts sometimes. So it's like, even though it's family only, we have 3 to 4 hunters at any given time.
Okay, so everybody gun hunts, and you're shooting quite a bit of deer off the property.
Oh, yeah. The neighbor next door,
he's curious because I'm like, I don't know if you guys have insane where like everybody hunts and everybody's shooting something, and
yeah, the neighbors especially they're the if it's brown it's down. So and they're nice people. I get along with them, and I share pictures with them sometimes and stuff. But they drive me nuts because one year he went out there and he shot a smaller buck, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't find it," so he shot another buck the same day.
Ugh.
I'm like, well, Ohio's a 1-buck state. So I'm like, if that first one died, you're going to be in trouble, dude, because I don't take that stuff lightly.
Yeah,
I'm not going to lie. I would narc on the neighbor. I don't even care. Like, if you were to do that, I'm narking on you, just so you know.
But, so yeah. But, like, our property, It's 200 acres of ag and only like a 50-acre piece of woods in the back. And it's the biggest one around, but it was logged out about 10 years ago. So it's like super
So it's
nasty
thick, yeah.
and thick. So we have like all the deer stay in our woods. But I know for a fact that the neighbors I just spoke of and then the farmer behind, they have sets right on the property edge. So as soon as they step out of our woods into theirs, I mean, they're just letting them have it.
Yeah.
Okay, so it
Yeah.
sounds like we're hunting similar situations. Everybody
Mhm.
hunts, small acreage, neighbors are shooting whatever.
I still think, and not to take anything away from what you just said, Cole, but I mean, Northwest Wisconsin is like freaking everybody hunts. Like,
Mm-hmm.
We've just got people that are
it's,
jamming 5 guys on every
yeah,
40
I mean,
acres.
it's
Like
like,
Pennsylvania.
so where I grew up hunting, Cole, like it literally would be my grandpa owns 120 acres. It's me, my grandpa, my brother, my dad, my uncle, his anywhere between his 1 to 3 kids would come with. Like, so you've got at least 8 or 9 guys in 120 acres. Then the guy across the street owns like 600, but they have like 15 to 18 guys that come and hunt it. And then the people that are to the west of us, they have like 80, but they have like 4 people hunting. Like, that's just Wisconsin gun season. Like, it is insane how many people hunt.
They close schools during the gun season.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
nuts. No,
So
it's
it's
the
not like
greatest
that.
week of the year. Like, it's
I'm sure.
everybody. I mean, the world stops so that people can hunt in Wisconsin. You know,
Yeah.
it's fun, but a lot of deer get killed. So,
Yeah.
and
So
not a lot of big
we're
deer get killed.
yeah, we're nothing like that. But like I said, where I grew up hunting, where my dad hunted, they would get not the whole week, but they would get the first day of gun season off of school.
Yep.
So
Yep.
obviously,
So
we're go ahead. It's
sorry, I was just gonna say, like I said, not to take anything away from that for you, because I mean, pressure is still pressure, but it's like
Not we can change the subject. I just looked it up. The statistics. So in 2024, Ohio had an estimated 388,000 hunters or licenses purchased for deer. In Wisconsin, had 791,000. So we have 400,000 more deer hunters. Just that's statistics. But I'm just curious because I'm like, I want to blame it on something, and I'm just like, it's got to be a part of that. Like I'm looking
yeah,
for an excuse.
yeah.
But
So
I digress.
so now the cool story, the main one I wanted to have you on the pod to talk about is the deer you just referred to as. Did you call him JJ?
JJ, and I'll tell you how I came up with that because his resemblance to the Jim Jordan buck. He's a mainframe
Okay.
10 with lots of mass.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's kind of where I got that.
Well, I'm trying to think if it would be best for me to maybe set the stage. So Cole's got this deer on camera, and he comes and he helps me hang some stands in like July maybe or something.
I think so.
Scout my dinky little property that has like 4 deer on it, and they're all does.
Got a bunch of cows.
Yep, and there's 5 times as many cows as there are does or deer. Anyways, and he's like, "Hey, don't tell anybody this," but he shows me this picture. He's like, "This showed up this week," and I'm like, "Oh my word! Like that is a giant. Like that's a mega." And so time goes on, and he's texting me pictures of it periodically, and like just kind of when you showed it to me, it was still growing a little bit. So you're kind of sending me pictures as it gets closer and closer to being done growing, and as season's rolling around. And Ohio deer opener's late. So, I mean, you didn't even get to hunt him until a few weeks ago, but I'll kind of leave it here and let you backtrack as much as you want. But you were out hunting the first morning and you put something on your story, and I texted you and I'm like, "Good luck, man." And you're like, "He's here. He's 120 in closing." And then I'm like, "Oh, it's on." So anyways, kind of start where you want with that story. If you want to start kind of back to even previous years, feel free, but it was kind of fun just for me to watch the whole progression of it.
So I guess it would have started in the spring. We went shed hunting. Didn't find anything. I will say where I hunt, it's like right next to an interstate. So we found, I think, 7 deadheads. Obviously, some of them new, some of them old, but like no sheds, only deadheads. But so I'm like, well, he was around all year. I had him at the end of, because Ohio has an extra gun season, a weekend like right before Christmas, and he actually daylighted in our woods the last evening. So I'm like, well, nobody's back there. He's going to be safe. So I knew
Is that a doe only season, or can you shoot bucks during that season?
you can shoot bucks.
And it's just like an extra 2 days, or what?
Yeah. So the Ohio gun season is usually the first week of December, and then I think it's 2 weeks later is where they come up with that. It's just a Saturday, Sunday, and then it's a break until beginning of January when muzzleloader comes in.
Gotcha. Okay.
But nobody muzzleloader hunts back there. I have one, but I've never shot it.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I knew this deer was safe. But coming into this year, he was number 2 on my list. There was a 5.5-year-old. I didn't really have a name for him, but I called him just the wide 9 because, I think his inside spread was every bit of 24 inches. So he was going to be number 1. And this year, JJ was going to be number 2, just because, last year was he 3 or 4. This year, 4 or 5. But the wide 9 never showed. But JJ did. And my first pictures of him were in early June. Not much going on, obviously, but I had noticed that his main beams had gone, really tall, and they had like clubs on the end of it. I'm like, that's going to be a big deer. But, as summer went on, I'm putting out trophy rock and, just hanging up. Like, I think I had 2 cameras out, just, keeping it really light, I guess, on the pressure. But, he was semi-regular, come in every, 2 or 3 weeks. Nothing crazy. But I remember going out and checking my camera. It'd be, July 20-ish in that area. And I remember just like going through, I had a rec league softball game. So I'm like, just, scrolling through as fast as I can, and boom. At this point, he's already 160 inches. And, we still got 2 or 3 weeks of growing left at least. And I'm like, taking pictures on my phone and my screen, like, holy cow. I'm going nuts. So then I come back and I finish checking all my cameras, but I had noticed that he only stayed on this one camera, like right on the edge of the woods, which meant he was probably spending most of his time out in the middle of the bean field. Like I said, it's 200 acres of ag, and then just one little parcel of woods. So, and like I said, I knew he was around. He just wasn't like super regular, but it's fine. But yeah, he just kept growing and growing and growing. And I actually ended up getting some really good footage of him with one of my friends. I think it was like 95 degrees outside, and we went and hung a tree stand for him. I'm like, well, bring your camera. Let's go see if we can see this buck. And sure enough, we saw him out in the beans. And he's just a monster. Like the guy, my friend Braden, who was filming, you can hear him going in the video. It's like, holy cow.
You sent me that video, and I remember your text was literally like, ignore us, like oohing and eyeing at him, because there was a lot of that in the video. Yeah, he's a mega.
So, but then, as the summer progressed, obviously it got pretty dry. We didn't really have an EHD problem. Southeast Ohio got it real bad, but my county specifically didn't have any confirmed cases, luckily.
It's good.
But I knew, he was going to be, trying to find some water. And we do have a ditch that runs through the middle of the farm, kind of separates, the front half from the back half. And I had seen him come up out of this ditch one time out into the beans. So I'm like, okay, he's living there. And I think knowing that he was there, and I'm like, that's fine. I don't need to go put any more cameras up down there. Like, I just need to leave him alone. I think that helped a ton. Because my in-laws are building a house close to the ditch, and he hunts, but it's not like a serious hunter. But he has a camera out, and he's like sending me pictures. He's like, look at this deer. And I was like, yeah, he's back there. I got pictures of him too.
He was getting pictures of him.
Yeah, so he actually sent me the first pictures of him hard-horned. I didn't have any of him hard-horned, but he did. So I was like, okay, he's alive. Because I think my last picture of him was end of August. So I hadn't had a picture of this deer in probably almost a month, and season was about to start. And I'm like, where's this deer at?
Doesn't that drive like I said, nuts?
Yeah, it did. Because I was panicking, but like I said, I knew he was living in this ditch because there was water, and I'm just going to leave him alone.
Yep.
So, but yeah, so then I think it was 3 days before season starts, I finally get a picture of him, but it's nighttime, and he's working a scrape. And the whole time I'm thinking, he's got a pretty small body on him. I don't know how old this deer is. But I think it's just the area. I have like a genetic pool on that farm that there's a lot of deer with small bodies. Because I had pictures of a deer, gosh, I think 2 or 3 years ago. I named him Skinny because the first picture I had of him, he looked like he weighed about 150 pounds.
Yeah.
But he good size antlers. So I'm like, okay. So I think that's part of it. He's just a small body.
Yeah.
But, like I said, finally got some Hawthorne pictures. He's alive. Season's coming up. And I remember talking to my wife. I'm like, hey, a small cold front came through. Like, I want to hunt opening morning. And she goes, well, I work overnight, 7 p to 7 a, so I won't be home in time for you to leave. I'm like, all right, it's fine. Not a big deal. I'll stay home with the boys and do whatever. Well, sure enough, about 7:45, my phone goes off and it's Tacticam, and I look and there he is, 30 yards in front of my stand with like 6 or 7 other deer. And I'm just like, oh. So she walks through the door. I don't say a word. I just like show her my phone and I'm like, he's here. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, it's fine. But so I shook it off. I'm like, I showed him my buddies like I should have been able to hunt this morning. But looking at the weather for Sunday morning, it was going to be identical, like mid 50s with like a slight north wind. I'm like, that's perfect because that northwest wind is what I need to hunt this set. So I guess I should backtrack. I set a set just for this point where I've been getting all my pictures of him. He's not on a single other camera on this entire farm except for this point. So I hung a set specifically for him. So my alarm goes off Sunday morning. And of course, I love hunting as much as the next guy, but mornings are tough for me. I'm not going to be honest. But I talked myself into going, so I got up, got out there, plenty of time, and I make it out to the set. I think I jumped 2 does because I could kind of skyline them as they were running off. So I'm like, okay, not a big deal. If he did what he did yesterday, he'll come from the beans to the scrape and then go into the woods and circle back around, like he's been doing. So I got up into the tree probably 45 minutes before legal shooting light, and I'm just going through all my pictures from yesterday morning, just like watching him, come through the beans and come up to the scrape. But I noticed that he didn't hit the scrape. He kind of walked around it and stayed on the field edge all the way around and just kind of skirted the camera a little bit. So I'm like, okay, that's weird. But that was really important that I noticed that because the scrape is 20 and this field edge, I ranged it at 30. So I have all these preset ranges in my head. Like if he does that again, I know like it's 30 yards, use your 30-yard pin. Because I'm old school. I have a 5-pin sight, so I don't have a slider.
Heck yeah, nothing wrong. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
So yeah, that's right. So like Ben said, I messaged him. I'm like, I can see him out in the field. And I think I texted you when he was at like 150, but I saw him at 300.
Like that.
And all you can see is just a wall of antler. But he wasn't coming towards me. He was kind of paralleling the trees, so he was going to just go past me. And for whatever reason, he started he basically did. He took a zigzag through the field. Wasn't a straight line. He would come this way, and then he'd go back that way, and he'd come this way. And I'm like, what is he doing? And I'm sitting here freaking out because he's walking towards me, and I had forgotten my bino harness, so I'm using my rangefinder trying to watch him come through the field. And I'm not paying attention, and there's a doe 20 yards right in front of me, and she's doing, the wind's in my favor, but she eventually gets behind me, and she just starts doing laps. I think she walked 2 complete circles around me, just trying to figure out where or what I was, and eventually she just gave up. So luckily, she moved off as those deer started to come in, and sure enough, he was with 2 smaller bucks, and the lead buck, he started making the scrape, and he was hiding behind some trees. I knew he was there, and I was like, if he breaks left, he's going to go right along that field edge right at 30 yards like he had done the day before. And sure enough, I pick up my bow and I'm ready, and he starts walking to the left right where I had ranged earlier. So I had drew back and I was ready. I'm like, as soon as he steps out from that tree, I'm going to let him have it. And so he steps out and I'm full draw. I'm ready for him. And I just try to stop him. Man, nothing. Man, just keeps walking. And I'm like, I'm yelling at this deer, and the little buck that's hitting the scrape is like looking at me like, what is going on? And he just keeps walking. So I put it right in front of his shoulder, thinking that, at 30 yards, he takes 2 steps, it'll hit right in the lungs. So I let go, and it all happened so fast because, like, hindsight's 2020. I can see where I ended up hitting him, but I'm like watching him run away, and I'm pretty sure I see my arrow sticking in his ham, basically, in his hindquarters as he runs away, and I'm like, oh no. But as he's running away, I'm watching it, and I can just see blood pouring down his leg, almost like a stream. So I text a couple guys. I'm like, hey, I shot him. I think I hit him back in the hindquarters, but there was a lot of blood. And they're like, oh, dude, if you hit that femoral artery, like, he's going to bleed out. I'm like, I think I did, because that was a lot of blood. So I was upset with myself, clearly. It wasn't the best of shots. But I was super hopeful that I would find this deer because of how much blood I saw. So I sat around for a few minutes, and I decided to get down. And I didn't see any blood on impact, but I saw where he'd ran into the woods, so I kind of just walked out that way, found some blood, stuck an arrow in the ground, and I'm like, I'll go to church, say a prayer, and then I'll come back and track him after church is over. So that's what I did. I think I shot him at like 7:30, and I didn't get back out there till almost 11:30. So I picked up the trail from where I had left my arrow, and where he had ran in was like some really thick, nasty stuff. You can't hardly walk through it. So I'm like, well, I know it opens up on the backside, so I'm just gonna, go around, and I'll meet you guys on the backside as they're following the blood trail. And sure enough, I get into the woods. And I didn't even make it around the backside yet. And I looked to my right, and I said, "He's dead right there, guys. He's right here." And I couldn't believe it. They're like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah." So he had actually ran like 50 yards maybe from when I had shot him, and I walked up on him, and that's why I say hindsight's 2020. I didn't hit him in the hindquarters. It actually went in just in front of, severed that artery.
Yep.
And I think it hit his hip bone or something, took a hard left, and actually came out mid rib cage on the far side. Made a complete pass through. And I was like,
you tore everything up inside of him.
yeah. Yeah. So I don't know how that happened, but yeah. And then I was like, well, where's my arrow? So I went back and found it. It had passed through that deer and gone, I don't know, maybe 15 feet out into the bean field.
You're moving, damn.
Yeah.
Especially with
well,
an expandable.
Well, I got new strings put on this year, and I switched to smaller diameter arrows. So I'm thinking those had to kind of play that.
Easton's or Victory?
They are the. Give me a second. Ultra. The Ultra Centrums, I think. Not the Ultra Views. Not the Ultra Views. Well, that's gonna bug me that I can't think of the name, but I'm pretty sure that's gonna bug me.
You got money.
I gotta look it up.
Ultra Views.
I was gonna say the 110Ks or whatever. It's like $400 a dozen.
That's gonna bug me. Now I'm gonna have to look it up because, man, is it Ultra? It's like, darn. Okay, hang on a second. Now this is gonna bug me. I can't think. Okay,
Yeah,
well,
I'm just curious.
it's the.
Guy. Yeah.
See, I used to use Victories, but I got some different ones. I went a little smaller diameter.
Nothing wrong with that. Get that penetration.
So anyway, I think that, and then I had gotten new strings put on. They're Rogue bowstrings. They're out of like East Central Ohio.
Yeah.
But I really like that. Man, that's gonna bug me that I can't remember. Hang on a second. I got it right here.
50 yards, and you blasted everything. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know how it did that, how it turned left and went out like that, but it did. And there was blood everywhere. It was a massacre. But
I will take being lucky over being good every day of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just shot one.
Ultra.
Oh, I'm assuming you saw it. I just shot one at 91 yards last week, and like it was a good shot, but like there's some luck involved in that too. Like the deer doesn't jump your string, like they don't just randomly start moving. You don't catch a gust of wind. Like it's better to be lucky than be good.
Yeah. So the arrows they're called Ultra, but it's not Ultra View. It's Ultra with an A. The Ultra Centrums are what I have. The 204s.
Alteras?
Well, it says Ultra on the website.
ALTR.
Yeah.
Huh. Never heard of her.
No, I haven't either.
Interesting.
But
okay, he found a secret that Ben and I now need to dive into.
Yeah.
I mean, I ordered them all on
rabbit hole.
Lancaster Archery is where I got them from, but my local store carries them too. Of course, they had them after I already bought mine, but and then
Cole, you're a big hunting public guy, aren't you? You watch a decent
Yes.
amount of other stuff, don't you? And Gabe,
Yes.
I know you do. You know Sirius, the arrows they all shoot? Sirius archery products, those are made in Florence.
Really?
Like their headquarters is over in, so Gabe, just so you, that's like over by where the airport is. So
gotcha.
like 15 minutes from me. Yeah. So I don't know.
Not
Random.
bad.
That was a random side thought, but anyways.
So yeah. So anyways, I walk up on the deer. I'm pumped, but I go to pick him up, and he's like stiff as a board, dude. Like he'd been dead for probably 5 minutes after I shot him. He expired because, like I said, he was. I could hardly like lift his head up because he was just so stiff. So I was, excited, but at the same time, the high temperature that day is supposed to be like 85. So I'm panicking, like we got to get this thing clean.
Yeah.
We got to get some ice
That
quick.
was going to be my next question. Go ahead, Gabe.
I was just going to ask if he gutted his own deer.
I started it, but I didn't finish it because I received about 4 or 5 phone calls back to back to back. Did you get them? I'm like, yeah. So my buddy's like, you want me to finish that? I'm like, you can work on it. I said, I'll come back when I'm done. But after I think I had 3 or 4 phone calls. So by the time I got off the phone, I look over and he's like, it's done.
Yep. It's awesome.
Yeah, how'd you keep him cold and from spoiling?
Well,
I remember that. It was like 86 degrees that day.
It was hot.
Yeah.
So I just went to the local carryout store and I'm like, hey, I need 2 large bags of ice. And she goes, all right. So of course, I'm out there trying to stuff them into my deer and people are coming up. Oh, that's a nice buck. Where'd you shoot him at? I'm like, I shot him on public.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, here's the waypoint. The local honey hole.
Well, Gabe might know, or Ben might know, but we have public hunting like 5 minutes from where I shot this deer. So it's like it's believable. But
yeah,
I told one guy around the corner, but so I'm trying to get ice on this deer, and they're like, "Oh, where'd you shoot him at?" And they're coming over taking pictures. I'm like, "Look, I said I'd love to sit here and chat, but like I gotta go."
yeah.
Well, I had my truck has a rollover tarp, so I was able to kind of like keep him out of direct sun, and keep some ice on him. But I had a couple people that wanted to see him, so I had to stop. And then I finally took it down to the processor, and he caped it out for me while I was there, which was nice. So then I could just take the cape home and throw it in the freezer.
The freezer.
Yeah. Nice.
Which was all, fun and games until I put him in there and he expanded a little bit and got stuck. I couldn't get him out of the freezer. I mean, Ben came up and saw him. It took
nice
everything I had to get him to fit in there.
To have your buck is too big; it doesn't fit in the freezer.
It was, dude. This thing is giant. So, anyways, Cole. Without further ado, what did he score at?
So I wrote it all down because I knew you'd ask. So he scored as a 12-pointer. And I talked to the guy. So his name is Ed Waite. He's a Buckmaster scorer up in Dayton. He's the one who did it. And I noticed he put 12. I said, so what defines a scoreable point? Because he had a couple like stickers on his bases that were questionable. And he said 1.5 inches. And I was like, I always thought it was 1/2 inch or inch.
So that's Buckmasters, not Boone and Crockett, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
I guess.
Differently. Yep.
But I was talking to a friend of mine, and he said that a Buckmaster scorer told him it was something different too. So I was like, well, it's fine. There's stickers that are about 1 inch long. It's not going to make a huge difference. So as a 12-pointer, he went 178. He had exactly 40 inches of mass.
Oh my gosh!
And he had.
I have no idea what my Booner scored. I don't even remember the sheet. So that sounds about right.
Yeah.
That's 5-inch mass measurements all the way through, pretty much 20 and 20 gets you 40.
Yeah. So he had his bases were just over 5. I think his greatest circumference measurement was between 3 and 4. It was 6 inches even on one side, and I think 5 5/8 on the other. Like I remember trying to wrap my hand around it, and I had to use my middle finger and my thumb because that's the only way I could get my hands around it. Jeez. And then I deducted his abnormals. He had 2 abnormals. That's part of the reason why he got stuck in the freezer. He had that little thing come down, and it got stuck in the freezer.
Yep.
As a mainframe 10, he went 172 and 7/8.
Wow.
That's
net.
the net.
Well, that's net. So that's without abnormals. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
He netted higher than my Booner.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'll have him Boone and Crockett scored or not. We'll see.
I would
100% Boone and Crockett score that deer.
Yeah, I would, because that'll go 180 as a Booner. If there's some 1-inch stickers there, that'll go 180 as a Crockett. What is Booner? Is it 170?
170 is all time. All time is 170. The books for 2 years or 3 years is 160.
I'm still in mule deer mode, so I can't remember.
Yeah, no, gotcha. on whitetails, 170 is all time Boone and Crockett.
Yeah, so you've got a Booner either way, I guess, Cole, but it'd be cool to crack the 180 mark. So
yeah, it'd be close, but I'm going to take him. So Ohio has what they call the Buckeye Big Buck Club, which they use the Boone and Crockett scoring method. So I am going to take him and have him officially scored by them and entered into the Buckeye Big Buck Club.
Yeah,
because their requirement I think is 160. If I'm saying that right.
Yeah.
So he'll make it.
Is your other buck part of that then too? Last year's
buck? No, he's not, because his total inches I think was like 149.
Oh, it has to be net.
So yeah.
So, okay, gotcha.
That's what I said. They use the Boone and Crockett scoring for that.
Okay.
Which he's like, it'll go Pope and Young, but not Buckeye Big Buck Club. I was like, it's fine. I won't pay for that.
You still have, I bet you still have to wait another 30 days before you can have Boone and Crockett score your deer, because it's a 60-day dry period, right?
Yes.
Yeah. You're probably only 30 days into it or something like that.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, almost.
Is that still in your freezer, or have you taken him to the tax?
No, he's at the taxidermist.
You just get.
I just left it with them. Yeah.
Little one done.
Go on a antler flag. Stick him on the wall.
Yeah. But no, so I just left it. I left it with him, and I told him, I was like, well, I'd like to get it back because I know I invited you, Ben, but that expo they have in Columbus every year, so I'd like to get him back in time for that, but it's not until March. He's like, well, your whole mount will be done by the time that rolls around. So I'm like, oh, that's perfect. I said, I don't need it. So he has it. It's getting mounted, but he said it should be done probably in March sometime. So I'm excited to get him back. I was the second person to drop off a deer to him, so I am number 2 on the list of getting him back.
Nice.
Well, if you don't mind me asking, what does a shoulder mount cost in Southwest Ohio?
It varies. So I called one taxidermist, and he was, I think, $900 for a shoulder mount. Yeah. I tried to ask him for a Euro mount. I think it was that 6-pointer I shot. I called him about doing a Euro mount, and he told me it'd be $350 in 6 months.
That guy's raking you sideways. He's beating you with a stick, dude. That's bad. Okay.
Well, I'd never taken a deer to him, but he's close to me, so I was like, well, at least ask. Yeah. And he's like, if you bring in the hide, I'll give you $50 off. I was like, okay. So I called my taxidermist I'd been going to. I said, hey, I want to get a Euro done. He's like, $150 in 3 months.
Yeah.
I was like, sold.
Yeah, that's the guy I go to in Wisconsin. He's $140 for a Euro, and I know he does a good job. I'm willing to pay the little bit extra that it might be, but Gabe couldn't believe that I pay $740 for a shoulder mount is what my guy charges, and he does good work. So I'm fine paying that, but. Yeah, $900. Holy crap!
Yeah, I was gonna say my taxidermist does mid work, and he's around $480, and I'm not paying over $500 to mount a deer. I'll just cut their heads off and slap them on the wall.
Hey, there are few things. There are 2 things that I've thought of in life so far, though, that you will have for the rest of your life, and they are deer mounts and tattoos. So you might as well pay to have good ones done.
There you go. So yes, so the $900 guy is not my taxidermist. My taxidermist, Ben said, mine's $750.
Okay, yeah. So ours are the same.
Yeah, I did get a number from a guy who does it for $650 and does really good work, but it's an extra 20 minutes, and I'm like,
yeah, and
do I really save money now?
Right? It's in my industry too. I'm probably on the higher side of what people do for media and marketing, but I get the clientele that I want. People are willing to pay me what I want. So it's, like, I get it. It's got to be worth their time. And it's honestly crazy to think like how much work they put into tanning a hide, getting the Mackenzie mount or whatever, and then like painting the eyes and the nose and all the whiskers and stuff like that. Like, dude, there's a lot of people out there that don't realize deer have whiskers.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that like
Yeah.
crazy to think about? I don't know why I just thought about that, but I'm like,
Yeah.
there are people like if you were to be like, yeah, did you realize that deer had whiskers? They'd be like a cat. And it's like, yes, they got whiskers.
Like Daredevil.
Daredevil.
Yeah. So, Cole, one of the things that we talk on here a lot about is like our difference in jobs. So, like, Gabe
Mhm.
owns his own business now, and he is in a kind of the boat of like he can hunt quite a bit because he works for himself. I am more like the 9 to 5, and now have to be a little bit more of that like weekend warrior ish. What does your job allow you a decent bit of time to be able to hunt, or are you more kind of sticking to the weekends for that?
So my technical job title is I'm an operations manager for my father-in-law's landscaping company. So, like I said, that's kind of how it all works together, And he, like I said, he hunts a little bit too. So if I would, hey, we got done an hour early. Can I go hunt? He's like, yeah, okay. And where I hunt is right behind the shop. So I just take all my stuff to work with me, go change, and then just drive my truck out to the woods. So that definitely does help. And especially this time of year, like we're starting to slow down and deer hunting is starting to pick up. So in years
Yep.
past, I'm like, this is perfect. I can go out and hunt all the time. But now I don't have to. I think I've sat in the tree 3 times this year.
Yeah, that's nice. So, what are you gonna do the rest of the year? Because if I was you, like I couldn't hunt 2 or 3 times and just be like, yeah, I'm good for the year. Like, I'll wait till next year. Like, I'd
Yeah.
be having to plan something.
So I have a couple landowners that want me to shoot some does. So I actually went out this past weekend and shot a doe on Saturday. I hit her a tad back, which seems to be a recurring theme. I don't know why. It's weird. But and no
Saying
sooner
that
than I
wrong,
shot
wrong
her,
crease in the shoulder.
someone did tell me that on my buck because it did go right in front of his back leg.
Yeah.
But no, and then after she ran away, I look up and a coyote runs into the woods right behind her. So I climbed down immediately. I grabbed my arrow and I'm falling good blood, but I get to like one big pile in the middle of the woods and it just dries up. She's gone. So I'm like, great. So luckily, in my county, it's a 2 deer county. So Ohio's weird. So you have county limits and you have state limits. State limit is 6 deer, 1 buck. So 1 buck and 5 does. But my county specifically is 2. And since I've already shot a buck, I can only shoot 1 doe in my county, which kind of stinks because, like I said, I have these landowners, go out and shoot me a doe. I'm like, well, we're all in the same county. So I got to pick and choose who I guess I want to make happy.
Yeah, that's
So,
tough.
but no, I got does I need to shoot. I've been keeping an eye on a couple of my other spots. Like Ben, you saw the picture. My brother, he has permission to hunt with me on one of my farms, and I was keeping up cameras and keeping an eye on the deer. And I was like, hey, come up here and hunt this spot. I've been getting daylight pictures of a buck, and sure enough, he came up there and shot a deer. So at this point, I'm almost like guiding people to bucks too.
Nice.
So
Start
which
outfitting, dude.
nah,
Yes,
I couldn't do that. I
Some good
couldn't do it.
extra, some good.
Yeah, I don't know. See, I'm like shared success is like still
Yeah,
success. So like if you or if like another buddy wants to go shoot a buck, I'm like, dude, I'll help you. Like I don't care
yeah,
because like I said, the farm where I have permission, my brother has permission, and then one of my friends does too. And so I'm like keeping tabs over there, trying to hey, big buck showed up last night. And he's like, oh okay, but he lives in Tennessee, so he can't come up till first week in November. So I'm like just trying to like pattern these deer and find out where they're at for him.
yeah.
yeah.
Still tied down.
And I've got 3. Well, they all showed up after I shot my buck, of course, but I've got 3 really nice deer on camera right now that I'm hoping somehow magically make it to next year.
Yeah.
Because it's still early in the season. The next 4 weeks or so is going to be insane, and then gun season. But after that, it should cool off a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. So cool. Well, Gabe, do you have what else you want to know? I don't know.
He's a pretty good storyteller. Sounds like he's the guy that's gonna not just kill a couple giants, but sounds like you're probably gonna be killing pretty good buck year after year, or that's the goal, right? You're gonna,
That's
keep trying to hunt mature whitetails in Southwest Ohio.
that's the goal. Yep. So, but yeah, like I said, I got a couple good ones on camera. I think I might have sent them to Ben. So Ben, you might have to show Gabe, but I got one. If he survives, he'll be fairly large. We'll just say that for next year.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, you get some
Do you
good
do
ones
do you
there,
do any
honestly.
out of state hunts?
I don't. I wanted to. Like
I was
I
gonna
thought
say, do
about
you have any
Kentucky
desire?
a little bit. Yes, obviously with two younger kids, it's hard to travel
It's
like
hard.
that. But
Yeah.
I would absolutely love to. Like I've looked at public in Kentucky and Indiana before.
Well, I tell you what, you ever want to shoot a fork buck? Man, I got the place for you. You got an invite right now, I'm telling you.
I'll have to come up during gun season and experience a
Oh my-
Wisconsin gun
A
season.
Wisconsin gun season would
Dude,
be
you are welcome
so fun.
anytime. That would be fun.
It's all camaraderie. It's the first
Yeah.
2 days is sitting and trying to shoot something, and if you have a tag by the end of day 2, it's deer drives.
Yeah, it's from a hunting standpoint, like you're probably, it's going to be a little lackluster, but from a camaraderie and just like fun in the woods standpoint, like Wisconsin gun season is awesome. Like it's so
Yeah.
fun. But
Yeah. And like you mentioned earlier, you asked me if I like the hunting public. One of my favorite videos to theirs of watch is when they go back to Wisconsin and they all start gun hunting together. Like those are my
Yeah.
favorite videos to watch. And
Yeah.
those get the most views too. So clearly I'm not the only one who thinks that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's those videos and then their late Ohio muzzleloader drives that
Yes.
they do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep, those always.
So yeah,
Those
so
always
kind
seem
of
to come
like
out in February, but yeah.
Yeah, so when they do like their drives, so like that kind of terrain, because they're in eastern Ohio is where that's at, which isn't too terribly far away from where I grew up hunting. So like doing deer drives in the hills like that's the stuff I grew up doing. So yeah, those are some of my favorites to watch too, because I'm like, hey, I was
wonder if
doing that not so long
they'll
ago.
do that this year, just depending if they were hunting over in one of those EHD counties or not, because that seems
Yeah.
that side of the state got pretty wiped out.
Yeah.
It did. It got it pretty bad. But there's a lot. I mean, there's still a lot of public land in East Central and Southeast Ohio. So like, yeah, there's a couple areas that got hit hard, but there's so many deer down there. I mean, it might take 1 year to bounce back, and I would assume it's
Sure.
probably fine.
Well, that's good to know. At least somebody from the area's got some confidence, because you just never know. We read these things online, and I'm like, if that happened up here, I don't know if the deer population would ever recoup. Like we had
Yeah.
that in 2013. We had a crazy bad winter. Plus, the wolf population started getting up there again, and it's like it was noticeable for the first 3 to 4 years after that, where it was just like nobody's seeing deer, nobody's seeing deer of any caliber, and then like kill the doe tags, kill whatever. Like I feel like every state struggles with their own problems, and it's kind of cool to talk to people from different parts of the country because, like, sure, we complain about predators and winters and the amount of hunters, but other people have, EHD going crazy, and then it's like, oh, they can't get tags anymore or whatever it is. Like, everybody's got their own problems.
Yeah. So obviously in Ohio, the big problem is crossbows and corn piles. Yeah.
Fighting people on Instagram right now because somebody posted a video on TikTok of them pulling out a crossbow and shooting a deer, and then like I commented cross gun, and dude, I'm getting so much hate. They're like, "Oh yeah, show me your recurve," and I'm like, no comparison. You're comparing apples to oranges. I'm like, if you have to manually draw it, I'm sorry, we might have different opinions, but I'm like,
Yeah.
shoot a cross gun.
Yeah. No, that's. I'm not a
But that's-
crossbow.
Yeah. Which I mean,
Yeah, I don't know.
I've never used one. My brother, that was like the first bow he bought was a crossbow, and like I was mad because he's like, "You want to shoot it?" And I'm like, "Sure." So we stepped back to 50 yards. You just line it up on the scope and let her have, and it was perfect. I'm like, I wish it was that easy for me too.
Yeah.
Well,
But
good thing I
I
didn't
don't
make the joke I was about to make.
go for it. I don't care.
I was gonna say, guys that shoot crossbows get beat by their wives.
What's funny though is once you, and not to get into like the technical like gear nerd or like gear nerd side of it, but once you learn like about kinetic energy and all of that, like it is way more efficient to kill a deer with a compound bow than it is with a crossbow. Like it's easier to make a good shot with a crossbow, but like you have way more kinetic energy, you have way more chance of getting a pass through. Like I don't know, your odds of killing a deer once you make a good shot with a compound bow are way higher.
Yeah, and that's like the same argument of mechanical versus fixed.
Right.
Yeah.
I've always used mechanicals, and I've lost one deer, And I think it's
Yeah.
because it was old and it didn't expand like it was supposed to.
Yeah. Well, and that argument too is like they all have their shortcomings. You just kind of have to choose what is most important to you, right? Like a lot of people's argument with expandables is if you shoot them too far back or if you make a bad shot, it gives you confidence because you have the biggest possible hole in the deer, right? For me, I've lost a couple deer where I've hit them in the front shoulder. I haven't gotten through the shoulder. So like I went to the heaviest arrow setup with a single bevel broadhead that I could this year because I'm done being worried about the shoulder. So for me, like that's what gives me confidence, you know. So it's just
And he shoots a deer at 91 yards with a heavy arrow and a fixed head.
that's the
That's
best.
going to be such a good episode to talk about.
Yeah, that's also going to be a great. So Cole, Gabe has a YouTube channel. Like if you get bored, it's called Hunting with Tourette's, and so he's got his Booner videos on there, which is a cool video. He's got a couple other cool views, but he came with and he filmed the whole thing. So like we're gonna have a pretty sweet YouTube video about it. So
Yeah,
should be.
Yeah, I've seen all your stuff on Instagram, Ben, and it looks awesome. Some of that footage you got. And like the actual kill shot was so cool.
Gabe is pretty good with the camera in his hands. And then he went out there with a whitetail tag that he went out there hunting because their season opens like the 30th of August.
It was normally the 30th ish, yeah, or whatever. It was whatever that Friday was, 29th.
Yeah, so Gabe went out there on an early season trip and didn't fill his tag. So the plan was kind of if I filled my mule deer tag, maybe we were going to try and get him on a deer. So I filled my tag, and then he gives me the camera, and I'm just a bot, dude. Like I've got no clue how to run a camera.
Nobody does. Yeah, you're just like my business partner.
Yeah, and like trying to walk with the camera in your hand, and like keep my focus on where the camera's pointed, and then like where I'm walking, and where the deer might be, and where you are. Like that is so underrated. How hard that is. Like to consider all of that at once, it's brutal. But.
Yeah, it's just an experience thing. It's just you do it every day, you get used to it. It's just like having a third arm.
Yeah. So,
well, let's wrap this up a little bit. It sounds that was a pretty epic story, and this guy's gonna kill some giants. I think on the next episode we'll probably talk about Ben's hunt in North Dakota, and then I'm leaving Thursday morning for another out of state hunt. I got a Missouri tag that. Dude, I don't know. I came home from this trip, and as of like 6 hours ago, I got a really bad sore throat. Ellie's been deadly sick. I'm like starting to feel it, and I'm like, the last thing I want is to be grinding on public in Missouri while it's cold. Like it's gonna be chilly, which is good for the hunting. But I'm like, dude, if I feel like crap, this hunt's gonna be miserable.
Yeah, that sucks. Well,
and like any other guy, when I'm sick, I'm a baby. Like I am a baby when I'm sick.
Yeah. Well, you're going to Missouri starting Halloween. I'll be in Wisconsin. I don't know where in Wisconsin yet, but I'll be somewhere in Wisconsin hunting.
Ben will kill a deer on my lease before I kill a deer on my lease.
Dude, I'm going to come down there and kill nuts just to make up for the fact that
he's the only buck. He's the only target buck that hasn't shown up yet. So, I've had 5 bucks chasing that. Like, dude, in that food plot tonight, I got 4 bucks chasing after a doe.
Yeah,
which is weird. And they're younger bucks, but Splits was on camera at 9 this morning. Like, they're moving.
Yeah, so not to ruin our next podcast episode, but Cole, the deer I just killed in North Dakota didn't have normal parts that a buck would have.
Right.
Well, Gabe has this buck on camera that literally its nutsack is like that big, like
a watermelon.
The first time he got a picture of it, he's like, "This deer's gonna die." Like I, thought something was wrong with it.
I still think there is something wrong.
Well, there
clearly
is, but he's hung around like So I told Gabe, I'm like, I'm gonna come up and shoot that thing just to compensate for the last deer I shot.
Yeah.
Shoot one with
the balance out.
Nuts.
Yeah, shoot one with the biggest nut sack I can. So, well, anyways,
awesome.
Cole, this has been a blast. I'm sure we could talk all night, but thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. This should be a great episode. So, we'll all three have to find time to meet up at some point.
Yeah, no, like I said, this is my first time ever doing a podcast, so I appreciate you guys having me. But Ben knows
it was awesome.
I got a couple pictures of some public land giants too. If you ever find your way down to Ohio, you guys are more than welcome. I'll show you around.
Yeah, I'll have to find some spare time somewhere here or there.
Yeah. So, we'll get out there at some point. I don't know. I've kind of decided I'm going to be in Ohio next year, one way or the other, whether it's public or permission. I'm not doing Kentucky again. I just can't do it again. So, anyways,
more on that soon.
Yeah, but all right. Well, Post
Good
on
deal.
Clarity, episode 24, brought to you by 7-Up and Bubbler. Thanks for listening.
Yep, we'll see ya.